This is Friday, August 4th. I can't believe it's August already. Anyway, 2023, I'm here with Margie Alexander. And we are doing with Margie a coming out interview based on her coming out experiences. So welcome. Thank you. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you. Glad to be here.
How old were you when you realized that maybe you weren't running the regular course that you saw other people running, like in your family, at school, in terms of your sex?
You know, I think I certainly knew early on that I was gay, but I grew up, my parents were like Southern Baptists and very, you know, there was a great overlay of religion and prohibitions on practically everything. And people were very much made fun of and shunned. That whole, like, there was like a joke. I didn't think it was very funny.
Right.
If you didn't wear green on Thursday or whatever day of the
Yellow.
week,
It was yellow.
well,
It was
where I
yellow.
grew up, it was green, and they
Isn't
would
that interesting? Yeah.
and say, "Oh, you're queer," or something just icky. And I was always attracted to women far more than I was attracted to men.
When you say attracted, do you mean sexually or just as a friend?
I think, yes, I had feelings for women, definitely. I don't think that, I think I was too frightened to acknowledge that my feelings were sexual, but I certainly had attractions and was kind of confused when people talked about guys and how, you know, all the boy crazy girls, etc. I finally got a boyfriend, sort of like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Right. The great disguise, get a boyfriend.
Yes. Yes.
The greatest one, get married.
Yes. And so when I was 18, I got married. And I, again, just, you know, I kind of look at my life and a lot of it, because I was not comfortable with my sexuality. I was, you know, the great pretender. It's like that song, you know.
It was an Elvis song, wasn't it?
I think Elvis did sing it. I think there was a group that sang it, but you know, yes, I'm the great pretender.
I know, I remember.
And I'm doing well. My need is such, I pretend so much. I'm lonely, but no one can tell.
See, you know all the words.
I know.
That's remarkable.
So you know, I kind of just went through that. I stayed married almost 10 years. I got a divorce, and I had relationships with men after my divorce. Again, just like, and then I was in school because, of course, here I am, I'm divorced. My alimony is going to run out. I don't even really have any money because, yes, I had, on top of all that, I was a very serious alcoholic drug addict. And I was about 28 years old by the time the divorce was final. And so I decided I'd go back to school while I had alimony and get a teaching credential. I didn't want to be a teacher, but I think I told you earlier, I kind of flunked out of nursing. So, and the teacher, and that's basically why I got married. When my parents wouldn't let me leave home, there was a school of nursing that was very affordable. They paid for your board and, you know, a place to live, and gave you 3 meals a day. And in in return, you were basically a slave for the hospital.
Hmm.
And I had a problem from the get-go because every time I saw blood, I fainted, just fainted. And, it was a Catholic hospital, and the nuns kept calling me in. Oh,
Not
I'm
funny.
feeling like you're not cut out for this.
Mhm.
You don't do well at the sight of blood, or watching someone get have an IV put in their arm. I
So that
fainted.
would make you faint too, huh?
Yes, so they
Interesting.
sent me for tests to make sure there was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with me, except I just couldn't stand all that, So this man came along, uh, wanted to get married. I'd only known him 3 months, and I got married because he said if I married him, he would take me to California.
Huh. And were you in Mississippi at that time? Where were you?
No, I was in Florida.
In Florida. Okay.
Yeah, Northwest Florida. So, yeah, so it sounded good to me. So off we went. And I always said we had one thing in common. We both like girls.
Did you tell him that?
Oh, gosh, no. Gosh,
You
no.
thought it.
No, I thought it. But, and then I think when things began to change for me, I developed a friendship with a woman. And I could see that I was more attracted to her
Mhm.
than, yeah, I really just didn't understand my feelings. I thought, oh my goodness,
What's this?
I shouldn't be having these feelings. So, and she was I guess, a dancer
Mhm.
in a bar out in Wilmington for money, kind of like a stripper, but not total stripper kind of thing. So I'd go to this bar when my husband was away and watch this girl dance. And so things just began to get very problematic within my relationship with my husband. And eventually we divorced. And as I said, because I still was not ready to say that I was gay or had those feelings, I got involved with a lot of different men. And
About what year was that?
that would have been, I got a divorce in 1960. I left my husband in about 1970. I
Mhm.
had left. And then it took about, I actually left in 1969, and then it took a couple of years for the divorce to be final. And then I went into the teacher education program, and there I met a woman who was involved with another woman, and we began to hang out. And that was just like life-changing. They were both
Yeah.
lesbians. They kept asking me if I was a lesbian, and I said, oh God, no. No,
Oh, really? Good for you.
no.
Yeah.
That's great that you, but no. And it turned out, unfortunately for my friend, because these women had been together a long time, that the woman's partner,
Mhm.
they were, nobody was married way back then, uh, got attracted to me.
Mhm.
And my life just kept getting crazier and crazier because of drugs and alcohol. So I decided I'd go back to Florida, of all places, where my parents were, and resolve my issues. It was just, I mean, talk about crazy decisions.
Well, I mean, it's a decision out of loneliness too.
Yes,
Regardless of using drugs and alcohol or whatever. Um,
yes,
you still know somewhere it's your decision, and it's a tough one.
yes,
It's
that's
lonely.
very true. So I went back to Florida, And my parents went out one night, and there I had my car there. So I made a phone call to a bar. Now, don't ask me how I come up with these goofy ideas. I say to the guy, do you know if there are any gay bars in Pensacola? And the guy said, well, what kind of gay bar are you looking for? I said, well, I'm a school teacher. I said,
Did that so
oh,
well,
okay.
just like a school teacher would say it. Tone.
And he laughed and he said, well, I don't think you want to go. And he named a bar. And then he said, I think you could meet some nice women. There's a bar over on Palafox. And so I drove over there. And I was standing in line with all these women. First of all, I was shocked as hell that there was a gay bar in Pensacola, Florida. But hello, Pensacola's a Navy town.
Right.
I mean, right there, she tells you. And so there were all these women, and I remember this one woman, she was probably almost 6 feet tall, and she tapped me on the shoulder and said, are you new here? And I said, yeah, I've never been in a gay bar in my life. He said, well, why don't you come out to my car and talk? And I thought, well, I don't know. Okay, what the hell?
That's right.
Everything was kind of like, whoa, what the hell? Anyhow, I went out to her car, and and I would have to say we did a little more than talking. And then I left. She had lived somewhere in Alabama. Honestly, it was so long ago, I can't remember where. But she took my no cell phones,
Right.
I stupidly gave her my parents' phone number. So she started calling, and then one day she showed up
At your house.
My mother went ballistic. Was like out of a John Wayne movie.
Really?
Margie, this town isn't big enough for the two of us.
Oh,
You need to take that back to California, the land of fruits and nuts.
oh my.
You're not going to do it here. So you need to get out of Pensacola ASAP.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. So I called these two women I knew in California, and the one that was attracted to me, she flew out to Pensacola, and we drove back to Los Angeles together. And on the way, I mean, I think you can fill in the blanks. We got involved, and yeah. So that was the beginning of my. I was 30 years old by then.
Did you have any children in your marriage?
No, I had no children. One of the difficulties for me in relationship with women has been my lack of acceptance. I truly believe that, of my own sexuality. I mean, once I came out, I was involved. I mean, involved is really stretching it. I had a brief interaction with a man in 50 years. So,
Right.
it's obvious where my heart is, where my interest is, but just all that. And I think it always hurt me so much that, my mother never accepted the fact that I'm gay.
I wanted to ask you about that. So after she determined that you had to leave the area, did you have relationship with her that it was lasting?
I maintained a relationship and what I came to see with her was as long as I didn't talk about it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that I'm really been looking at this a great deal of late. I think a number of us find that we have to hide who we are, that we as gay people, lesbians, gay men, all of us end up hiding a part of who we are to survive in the world.
And a very big part.
A very big part.
Yeah, right.
I had a friend, and I think I mentioned that on the last video, where when we called one another from work, we would say the person's last name
Mhm.
instead of using a female
Oh,
name
I
to
see, right.
because, even though there were some people that probably certainly knew I was a gay, I mean, I was running around gay bars and doing all kinds of things, especially while I was drinking and doing drugs. I mean,
Mhm.
but yeah, and in uh, situations, self-help groups, very difficult in the beginning.
Mhm.
You know, I've been involved in self-help programs for 44 years. And
And they all help
and
somewhat.
they all helped. I
Right.
mean, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you today, uh, without all the help I had been given. But in the beginning, there was just a lot of, it wasn't comfortable revealing who and what you were.
So in the beginning of your help groups, did you go to individual or group?
I went to groups.
Okay.
I had therapy. I went to therapy. I did a lot of things. I think probably the thing that helped me the most when I was about, trying to think, how old would I have been when I started with them? There was a group of women, they were originally known as SCWU.
I know them.
Yes, you knew SCW.
Southern California Women for Understanding. Yes.
That's right. Then I didn't really get involved with them because I just wasn't really into groups, it took a while, but by the time I was in my mid 40s, SCWU had pretty much come to a close.
How come? I wondered about that.
I think what happened, they had some, I don't remember it all. Perhaps there were some financial issues,
Okay, yeah.
And things just, women moved, how that happens. Women move to a different area, then they're not the strong ones that were keeping the group together, aren't there anymore. But out of SCWU, we formed a group of women, the over 40s group. And you have met some of the women, I've sent them to you from that original group. And we stayed together. We probably, some of the women who have been there longer than I would remember, but I think we made it about 25 years.
Oh, that's a
And
long.
or 20, maybe 20. Because let's see, I would have been in my mid 40s and we were hanging together till, yeah, probably almost, I would say middle 60s.
You
Yeah.
think at that time that the purpose of group or how you used it wasn't so vital or necessary? I was
Oh,
in group
no,
therapy with women who formed
they
those
were-
groups
Right. I think they were essential to me
at that time.
covering my authentic self.
Mhm.
You know, I think I had a lot of confusion around labels. Do you call yourself femme? Do you call yourself butch? I remember going into a bar early in my coming out, and a woman came over to me and said, "Well, what are you, honey?" And I said, What?
She was obviously butch.
Yeah, I said, "What do you mean? What am I?" And she said, "Well, are you butch or femme?" And I said, "I don't even know what that means." And she said, "Well, kind of the way you got on the bar stool. I'm gonna say you're a soft butch." And I thought, "Oh, okay, whatever that is." I don't
What a relief.
yeah, you know, I don't. And so, I think we talked a lot about that in those groups. We talked
Yeah.
about things of the heart in that over 40s group. I met a lot of very smart, very successful women in that group. And not that I hadn't known smart and successful women
Right.
before, I don't mean that, but just to sit and talk about our lives. And, it was really very healing, very helpful.
Well, you
So,
were accepted. It wasn't necessarily whether you were butch or femme or whatever, but if you stayed in the group, I like groups, long enough, then you felt that acceptance that allowed you to grow. Before that, you could be in the closet, scared.
yes, yes,
And
that's true.
that's not a
Yeah.
good place to be.
Yeah, and I think that if I worry about you and I have spoken about that, Diane. I worry about our current climate. I worry
Yeah.
about the changes that I see coming our way, and I worry that young people will have to go back into the closet, and what will happen to them, and will they have to go through, when you look the sort of that history of people, it's like one revolution happens, things sort of kind of get status quo, there's some measure of acceptance, but underneath it, until it's really, I don't know, examined, brought into the light, underneath it, there's kind of a little simmering resentment, you know?
I like that description, that simmering thing. It reminds me of this pan I have that cooks soup very well, and it has a great simmering factor. So I know how much longer I'm going to cook this stuff, because I am not a cook. But anyway, it is like that, the simmering. And I think that just you and I talked last night, that the archives, I always wonder, where's this going? I don't know, but it keeps going, so I'm fine with that. And it grows. So people like you make it grow. So you have to stay out there. I mean, what's your life? Why go back? You weren't happy. You were, having problems. And not that problems are a part of life, they are, but how we resolve them. And I think hiding, I like that this is archived. Nobody's going to take away the archives as I see it. Now, I'm limited, but the archives are very valuable because people will go back and say, wow, look at that. She was out. Look at all she did. And they need that. We all need models.
Yes, I love that. I love
I
that.
started going to therapy because I was going to kill myself. So I'm glad that didn't happen. So, and fortunately, I had a friend, Jim Canellis. He's now deceased, but he said, I want you to see somebody. And I went to see Russell. And he's at the Case Center. The Case Center was a popular gay counseling center at that time. And I sat there scared I was a professional. I had something to do. I made money, but I was scared because I was a lesbian. And my lover had decided she didn't want to be with me. I mean, I never planned on that. I thought commitment is it. You're committed, you stick it out. What do you mean you don't want to be with me? So anyway, I thought that was the end of the world, or should be. And when my session with Russell was over, I thought he's going to say, we're going to have to lock you up for a few weeks just to balance your life. And he didn't. He said, would you like to come back? I thought, wow, I'm supposed to live. And that was a great gift. I couldn't have asked for a better gift.
Yes. Yes. And I think, I feel the same way. I attempted suicide twice
Yeah.
in my 30s. And I love that saying that with suicide, you're really killing the wrong person. You don't even know. If you're
Heard that. That's
thinking
true.
of taking your own life, my best guess is you don't know who you are.
Right.
But
You don't know where your life is going.
Right. I certainly at 30 years of age had no clue who I was or what I wanted, or, like with the lady in the bar. I did not know if I was
Right.
butch or femme or straight or gay or are you bisexual? I don't know. Stop.
Now there's more labels. So.
Yeah, and I
Well, thanks.
finally, it took years, but I finally just took to say, I'm Marge. I
Mhm.
hope that works for you, because
Right. Yeah.
I just I can't be slotted in somewhere, I
Right.
was that phony little housewife with the bouffant hairdo. You've seen those pictures. I mean, playing a role. Oh, okay, here's my role. I'll play this role. And I am far more interested in my finding authenticity for myself. And I really enjoy helping others
I can see that.
their authentic self,
Mhm. Mhm. Do you
So
do that now?
I do that now. Yes, I have about, I'm not a therapist, but I work with other women. Yes,
Great. Good.
help them along the path. So
Great.
yeah, yeah.
People's stories are fascinating. How they approach the same thing. 5 women will do it 5 different ways. Yeah, I mean, I like that.
Yes, yeah, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of that
Mhm.
as you listen to all our stories.
Yeah.
I know, and again, that's what I would emphasize is how healing those meetings were with that group of over 40s women,
Mhm.
because through when another person, man or woman, shares from the heart his or her feelings, his or her traumas, whatever you want to call it or refer to,
Their life.
their life,
Right.
then you are able to go, and you said that earlier, I was able to say, oh my gosh, these people are like me. I don't need a label. I don't need to, I can just be me. And even though that always just seems so simplistic to me, I think that that's what we're all trying to do, just be me,
Right.
whatever me happens to be.
I like that. I like that I have a label now. I like that I had a label before that I didn't know what the hell to do with. It's always been there. I mean, but now I like it, fine, not all I am, it's a part of me. So thank you. I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
to know you. Thanks.
I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you, likewise.